What up guys, Super Metal 983 here to bring you another CD review, and I've decided to bring my friend Matt from Erebor.
What up guys?
Because he used to do album reviews, didn't you, back in the day?
I did one or two, not particularly well, but hey ho.
Still better than mine.
Well, that's not hard.
Yeah, he knows the crack. But we thought we'd do a little review together on the new Trivium album, which, if a little fucking short, which probably is not, but yeah, it's a new Trivium album entitled The Sin and the Sentence. This is released under Roadrunner Records. Now, you may be familiar with Trivium. They've got an array of great albums out there, starting from their debut album, which is called Ember to Inferno. Such a good album.
Easily the heaviest.
Yeah, definitely. It's, in all honesty, one of the best of the, I'd say, modern thrash albums, I'd say.
Well, I wouldn't really say it's a
Well,
thrash
not
album,
that, well...
but yes, I would agree.
Yeah, and...
For a bunch of teenagers.
Yeah, especially, wasn't Matt like 14 or something
14,
when they're written?
15, something like that.
And you listen to Ember to Inferno and you think, that dude's 14. Fucking ridiculous. But anyway, and then obviously the follow-up, the legendary album that is Ascendancy, which in my eyes is still an absolute classic album in just metal in general, really.
I would agree.
Definitely made its staple on the world and made them what they are today, basically. And then following that was, I believe, The Crusade.
Yeah,
The Crusade. I'm going to be honest, I'm not a massive fan of it.
Same.
I don't know, I just don't think it had the intensity that the Ember to Inferno and Ascendancy had. It didn't have that, wow factor to it.
I would agree with that. For sure.
But then, following that...
Shogun.
Shogun. Absolute masterpiece on an album.
Easily, and like, if it's not a 10 out of 10 for me, it's definitely like a 9.99.
Yeah, easily. It's absolutely fantastic. Absolute anthems on that album, and obviously that was it 11 or 12 minutes.
Shogun, the title track, 11 minutes 55 if memory serves.
See, I wouldn't remember that shit.
It's totally not because you had iTunes open the other.
No, it was never open. But yeah, and then following that we have. I think this was when the new drummer joined, wasn't it?
Yeah, Nick Augusto. In Waves.
In Waves.
But I believe they released Shattering the Skies Above before that for God of War.
Yeah.
Which is an absolute tune. Just unbelievable tune.
Check it out. And but in Waves, in my opinion, it was a new lease of life for the band. It was something. It
was very
different.
Modern.
Yeah.
Very, very modern.
But I really dig it. I thought, production-wise, fucking phenomenal. Song-wise, still really, really catchy, very gritty.
There's some seriously heavy songs on there.
Yeah, really.
There's some really, really, really mature tracks on there too.
Yeah, definitely. And I have to say, that was when I started to realise how fucking good Matt was as a vocalist, not only in the cleans department, which he's always been phenomenal at, but his screams were just full of aggression and full of meaning and just full on aggression. Absolutely. Behind them.
It's quite interesting that you mentioned that, because if you watch the making of documentary, he mentions that he just kind of get into the right space to do it, and then called up
Rob Flynn.
Yeah, couldn't think of his name there.
Yeah, and then you watch the takes that he did after that, and you're just like. It's just absolutely incredible. Love that album. One of my favourites, definitely. And then Vengeance Falls followed that, which was produced by David Draymond, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think it's a decent album. It's definitely not the best Trivium album. It's definitely something that I feel doesn't stick with me a lot, personally. It's not as memorable. It's quite a forgetful album. It's still good to listen to, like, once you think, oh, it's pretty good, and then after that you just like never go back to it for a couple of months. That's just my opinion anyway.
I'm one of those Trivium fans that likes to forget that exists. Strife's alright.
But then obviously they lost the drummer again, which has obviously been the tale of Trivium over the years, hasn't it?
Yeah, like they had a really, really good one with Travis, and Nick was pretty good. And then is it Matt Madrio did Silence in the Snow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, that album I've reviewed on the channel, check it out, link down below to know my thoughts on it, but as time's progressed, I've kind of started to believe that was kind of like it was kind of a weak Trivium album because it felt a bit too safe and a bit sometimes a bit boring in the musicianship behind that album.
I would totally agree with that. I think they took a real big step in sort of like finding a more mature sound for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like I described to you earlier, that it almost sounded a bit like metalcore meets hard rock.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely got that kind of like swingy rock kind of vibe to it, which I kind of appreciate the album. It does have a lot of catchy songs, like as I was saying before. Obviously, Silence in the Snow is still a catchy song, but I feel like Dead and Gone's definitely one of my favourites.
Blind Leading the Blind.
And Blind Leading the Blind. Like, there is some really catchy songs, there's some really good songs.
Yeah.
But as an album, it does feel a bit safe.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. It feels
especially if you look in comparison to the back catalogue kind of things, like it definitely felt a bit safe.
So especially when, like all Trivium fans do, whenever they release new albums, you never be like Shogun. Like it's vastly different.
Yeah, they're a new band at the end of the day. You know? It's evolution for them. It's
the right thing to do, because I find when a band gets stuck in a sound, unless it's really unique already, it can get kind of
repetitive as well. Yeah. But it also questioned that album, like obviously with, and I might as well point this out about Silence in the Snow, and Matt totally agrees with us, and I think everyone should agree with us, and if you don't, you're fucking wrong. Matt Heafy, his vocals, his clean vocals, they are legions and light years ahead of anything he's done. Vibrato, for example, oh my god, absolutely love the vocals on that album. That's one thing that I took from that album and just went, wouldn't change a fucking thing on that. Never change a fucking thing on it.
You can definitely hear that there's not as much power in the actual clean vocals as compared to what you can hear on In Waves and Shogun.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But it's a lot more well trained and a lot more mature.
But it just showed that obviously with him losing his voice before the recordings, he had to do something to keep it impressive. And that obviously vocals was the key, and it was just like, okay, I can go with this. But it did leave a question: what was going to be the next step? You know what I mean, for Trivium? Because obviously I don't know about you, but I thought, is this the end for the screams?
Yeah,
I
did feel the same.
I actually said it in the review. I was like, it just needed a couple of screams in there just to make it a little bit better. So I'm hoping that they bring
just
that back.
Just to make you recognise it. This is definitely Trivium. It's not a Matt Heafy solo thing. It's Trivium.
Yeah.
Although if it was a Matt Heafy solo thing, I imagine he'd probably just like play loads of Bathory.
Yeah, I'd imagine that. And then we have the new album for 2017, The Sin and the Sequence, and
Sin in the Sentence.
Oh yeah, sorry, my bad. Now, as we said before, we didn't know what to expect with this album, really, did we?
Yeah, I was really shocked when they released the single.
Yeah, well,
Sin in the Sentence.
It isn't anything like Silence in the Snow, In Waves, or Vengeance Falls. It's nothing like. It's a new kettle of fish completely.
Yeah, I would say it's to me it feels like a really, really, really strong mixture of Shogun and Ascendancy. Those styles just shoved together. The more mature style that they've taken from Silence in the Snow has definitely played a part. But it's just so,
with a more solid production,
good.
like the likes of In Waves, for example. It's kind of like how
it's
you would
super heavy.
Oh, this is definitely, I think, one of the heaviest, most crushing Trivium albums, and I actually genuinely never thought I would hear the words crushing describe Trivium, you know what I mean?
I think it's definitely helped them getting a death metal drummer in.
Yeah, what's his name again?
Alex Bent.
Yeah, if you don't know, Alex Bent is quite an icon in modern death metal drumming. He's been involved in
Archaic.
Battlecross was another one he was recently involved. Archaic, you said.
Brain Drill?
Brain Drill, that was the other one I was trying to think of. I mean, if you...
That should tell you how good he is.
Yeah, going from fucking Brain Drill to Trivium is kind of like a step, like, in the opposite direction, but going up. It's just like, what? How does that work? But I think you just said there that them getting a death metal drummer was just like a kind of like evolutionary step. That's something that it needed something to be done about it, and I think getting Alex has definitely helped the band evolve and give off a new Trivium album that is, it's not like Shogun, it's not like In Waves, it's not like The Crusade, it's not like anything they've done before. It's a new, you could say it's kind of like a rebirth kind of thing, you know what I mean?
There are a lot of tracks on it that are different.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of tracks that are really, really different stylistically as well.
Mm-hmm.
There are some that are just like Betrayer.
Oh, Betrayer! What a song!
It's an absolutely magnificent album, though.
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic. I think another thing I love about Trivium is always Pablo, the bassist. His bass work is just another level. I think he's such an underrated bass player in modern metal.
Yeah.
Like people know he's good, but don't talk about him enough. And this album, I think, gives off what a perfect combination of what he can pull off in pulling off the melodies when they need to be, but still keeping that beefy tone. And since this is just me, my little bass nerd coming out in me, but like the last album, I said he's turned to Warwick basses. Myself a Warwick player. The Warwick bass tone just tickles me nuts just so much, and this album I think just gives it a bit. It's got a bit more crunch than the last album in that bass end, but it's still warm and just it's quite fuzzy as well to listen to.
That's one of the really, really good points of the production on the album. The bass is always there to hear. It doesn't matter what you listen to it through. You can listen to it through really, really cheap headphones or phone speakers, and you can still feel the energy from the bass, and it really
it really gives it that attack. That is a strong attack like word to use, like especially in bass. You can feel he's like putting that emotion into the play, and I absolutely love it.
It really, really drives the songs along.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, amps up the redonkulously heavy, chunky guitar tone.
Yeah.
Oh, the chunky guitar tones on this album.
Helps.
I personally love anything that's 7-string related to Trivium. Just tickles my nuts. Like it's so.
Yeah.
It seems like they utilize the 7-string just so well. Like giving it that proper beef, but in the groove as well. Like that's like my favorite song that I was telling you. Was it
The Wretchedness Inside?
Yeah, The Wretchedness Inside.
Yeah.
Oh, that riff is just. It's. I can imagine that song being played at like a festival, and it just been a wave of headbanging.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, what a song! That's personally my favorite song on the album, and the lead work, I think, is another great point. And the both of them are solid players.
Yeah,
obviously tight with the rhythms, but their lead work is so exceptional and so. How could you even describe it? It's just beautifully executed. It's just as much a part of the Trivium sound as the fucking vocals. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
totally, I totally get that. Matt Heafy on his social medias likes to take the mick out of himself and talk about his dad solos, like the simple pentatonic stuff, which he did quite a lot of on Silence in the Snow. But this is a bit of a step back. Like you'll hear in the single Sin in the Sentence, there's a very neoclassical vibe. That first solo that you hear is Matt's, and it's vastly different to what he does in Silence in the Snow, and it really, really helps.
I might as well also say that the Sin in the Sentence is definitely a great open vibe for the album. Definitely strong attack. And then obviously vocals. The screams are back. Yes, I prayed for them and they came back. And they
Does that mean there's a god?
There is a god, I think. Anyway, but yeah, the screams are back and they sound nasty and just exactly it does actually remind us of the power and the intensity and the emotion that between Shogun and In Waves, they're perfectly executed, and it just proves that, like Matt was able to overcome like that horrible situation that he was in when they had to cancel a load of shows because of his voice, which is understandable, but obviously he was able to get them back and they still sound just as crushing and just as emotion filled. I think he definitely has a distinctive voice, Matt
he
does.
Really does. It's weird.
Yeah. It's really gut-wrenching, really, and it's gut-wrenching and powerful. And obviously, like, with Silence in the Snow, the cleans were spot on.
Yeah, they were.
I was hoping they would bring that to this album, and they have as well.
Yeah,
like,
they have.
Like,
I think they almost took a little bit of a step back as well. It's not so cleanly executed as it was on Silence in the Snow.
Like, Silence in the Snow is quite soothing, kind of, to an extent, you know,
it's they're just really, really well done, whereas with this, there's more power behind them, which you can hear, like, the recordings physically just have far more power behind the cleans, and it really, really helps the...
It helps with the overall vibes and makes you connect to it a little bit more, because there's nothing worse than just, like, vocals that are just there to be there. They're actually emotionally driven, and they're not, like, you're just doing it for the sake of it, you know. It's
absolutely.
full on, like...
That's one of the things I really like about the production, and the producer in particular that worked with him on the album.
I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Can't remember his name either. He specifically told Matt that he wanted the screams that he knew hurt Matt's throat, which is how he blew his voice out. And he figured he learned the correct way to do it, and just could never seem to get the same kind of power, recording wise. So he managed to convince Matt to do it the old school way.
But even Matt said
it works.
It worked, and it added to it. Like, he said that live it's not going to be as much of a problem. It was just for the studio. He could see why he wanted it, and I think it worked in their favour. And I think it's, and obviously with the really solid lyrics, I absolutely love the lyrics to this album. Like, catchy as hell. Like, every Trivium album has just had such catchy lyrics, and ones that actually stick in your head. Like I'm not joking. Like, since I first heard this album, I've had Betrayer. Just I think it's Betrayer. Just stuck in my head. Just Betrayer. Just that little bit. Just stuck in my head, and it's a curse, but it that just shows how much Trivium can stick in your head and stick with you.
It's cool because they like to. Well, Matt likes to write lyrics with like middle-aged English in them, and weird words, and it's really weird that they still manage to get stuck in your head.
Beyond Oblivion is also another one.
Oh my goodness!
Those lyrics, that beautiful chorus, it's like soothing, but like as I said before, but it's like serenading.
Yeah,
it's very serenading. That it's like.
But that's not even the best part about Beyond Oblivion. It's that bloody riff. That's just. Oh my god!
What, didn't you say it's a reference to kind of like obscure?
It almost sounds like an obscure riff.
It does.
I was listening to it, and they started playing it, and I'm thinking, oh, that's cool. And then Alex starts playing blast beats over it, and I'm like, I feel like I'm listening to Obscura.
That's one thing we didn't say about the drum production side of things, is what Alex has brought to the table is definitely a death metal kind of like influence as well. And I think with the blast beats, the faster, thrashier beats, the Ultima Sugar Gallop. What song is it again? Was it the Wretchedness Inside?
Oh, why the hell do you have to do this to us? I can't remember now.
But there's a Meshuggah part, and it's just like, shit.
When you hear it, you can hear bleed.
You just go bleed.
Yeah, it's just the bend. It's like that half step bend. You just go bleed.
Yeah, it's just this album. I think for Trivium, it is stupendously good. And even for metal, I think in all honesty, my gut feeling is this album's it's going to be recognised as being a really solid Trivium album, but I think it's kind of going to go under the radar a little bit, and people's not going to give it the attention that it deserves. I don't want it to, but yeah,
I think that's always really been the case with Trivium.
Yeah,
it's because they're not Avenged Sevenfold.
Yeah, definitely.
Not that I don't like Avenged Sevenfold.
I don't like them.
They're awful.
But honestly, this album is fantastic. It's just a breath of fresh air for not only Trivium fans but for any fan of metal. It's absolutely fantastic. Great musicianship, top notch vocal performance, top notch, and I honestly think it's absolutely fantastic. You got any other final thought?
Yeah, I would for me, even though I'm a guitar player, I would say the drums are the absolute standout point of the album.
Yeah, definitely.
'Cause you've never heard anything like that on a Trivium album.
No,
it's ridiculous.
If you want to hear something
beautifully ridiculous,
if you want to hear something like out the box thinking for Trivium,
check it out.
This album is leaps and bounds above it. That kind of, if you want for that kind of thing. For an overall score, personally for me, I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It's leaps and bounds above Silence in the Snow, but it takes so many elements from all the other Trivium albums and just puts that and then just pushes it forward. It's absolutely fantastic. So, yeah, solid 8 out of 10, I think, for both of us. So, thanks for watching the review. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you check out mine and Matt's band Erebor. Links down below as usual.
Subscribe to his channel too.
Yeah. And make sure to stick around for Erebor's album coming out next year, 2018. Hopefully.
Yeah, well, you know, carpal tunnel and other guitar player with broken legs at the minute. It's not really going in our favour.
But yeah, I'll see you until the next video, and remember, stay metal, and I'll see you later.